Okay. Hi all, welcome to the platform special interest group meeting. Today we will have a discussion about Java 11 support, Windows installers, and also custom Docker packaging. So if you participate in platform SIG, you may find a link to the meeting notes document in the email announcement. And I'll also put the meeting notes to the Gitter chat. So it's here. And yeah, if you want to join in this meeting notes document, there is also a participant link. So if you want to join the call instead of watching it in YouTube, you can just join this session. Okay, so we have 3 topics. Should we just start from Java 11? Oh, probably I should be sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah, it always happens. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so just to repeat, he's our Gitter chat, and in Gitter chat you can find a link to the status document. So all the agenda is here. We'll be putting meeting notes, and here's a participant link, so you can join the discussion. Okay, 3 topics. Let's start from Java 11 update. There was an announcement on September 25th that Java 11 is now GA. So it means that everybody can install it, and it's possible to start using it. Actually, we had some testing over last weeks on the early access build, and yeah, we will talk about the status of Java 11 support in Jenkins. Speaking of the status, there is a JEP link which describes what is our plan regarding Java 11 support. And yeah, I propose to talk about this plan and also talk about the changes we had over the last 2 weeks. So we had a hackathon at the DevOps World Jenkins World Conference. There was something, how many, maybe 6 or 7 contributors to Java 11 there. So we can just summarize the status and yeah, then deep dive into detail. So, Mark, would you be interested to summarize the status?
Sure, you bet. So as we gathered together as a group at the Hackfest, and a number of significant improvements came in the packaging, in the development flow, especially the way developers interact with Java 11-based development. We now have the Java 11 early access package on ci.jenkins.io. We'll submit a new ticket to ask for the final release, but we verified that we can build on ci.jenkins.io with both Java 8 and Java 11 in the same call to build plugin. It works. Now it does require changes, things like update to the latest Jenkins version, those kinds of things. However, really solid work. So the development build flow is there. We performed interactive testing as well, Mac OS, Windows, and Linux, using the development build, and had good results with all 3 of them. We've still got plenty of work to do that's described in the tickets. Oleg, did that cover what you wanted, or are there more things you'd like to summarize?
Yeah, I could put some additional summary, if you don't mind. Okay, so back to the document. So yes, we've got a build flow for plugins running. We also got a good progress for Jenkins core itself. So there was one pull request which made the common build flow working on JDK 11. So currently you can build Jenkins core Word file, you can run unit tests, and yeah, there are also Findbugs stuff running, Java doc with some exceptions. So yeah, generally it's a good progress, and we integrated this change towards the master branch. I mean Java 11 support branch. So it's a master for Java 11, and currently it's available in our Docker images. And actually, during the testing, we discovered several issues we've seen for Java 11. So first one is about update center signature failures on the recent Java 11 release. So we worked around it in our images, and there is a patch from Daniel which we need to integrate. Then there were some regressions in our tooling which we fixed, and also regressions in process management which we didn't catch during the testing in June. So I have a staged pull request which should fix that. Yeah, a Unix reflection class compatible with Java 11. So currently it shouldn't be working on Java 11 at all, but apparently it was somehow. But yeah, with this fix, it should be working. Regarding the status in general, so in JEP we have three pools of tasks. So it's general availability in weekly release, which is what we target now. Then there is GA in LCS at some point, and yeah, a lot of other issues which we don't consider as non-blocker ones. So regarding other issues, yeah, actually after the hackathon, I believe it's not linked correctly. Yeah, so other issues are here. So yeah, we have a pretty big epic about that. Many tasks are already resolved. Some tasks still need some polishing. But yeah, still Java 11 works. And one of the critical issues we had was about Jenkins pipeline. So we needed to update Groovy in Jenkins core in order to support declarative pipeline. But reportedly, update of Groovy caused metaspace leaks on Java 8. So we spent some time at the hackathon in order to reproduce that and to verify. And actually, we were unable to reproduce it so far. All performance tests were pretty good. So we decided that we land Groovy update in the weekly release. So the current weekly release already includes Groovy update we needed. Yeah, it's here. And it means that with this patch, we are getting closer to get the stuff running in weekly release. So currently, guidelines for running Java 11 mostly work for weekly release as well. Just a second. Yeah, running Jenkins with Java 10 and Java 11. So this is our guidelines. And these guidelines should now work for weekly releases as well. There are still some patches we haven't upstreamed, but yeah, many patches are already there. And yeah, you may see that there is a Blue Ocean JDK 10 image, and actually we produced another one for JDK 11. It's located in another place because we needed to set up continuous delivery. But now, if you want, you can try Java 11 with vanilla packages and with Blue Ocean and pipeline, which includes everything, just by using Docker images.
So Oleg, I think you said that I may even be able to test with 2.143 as my base Jenkins version.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
So let me show you the difference. So we have ongoing patch branch. It's called integration branch. It includes a number of commits just because we merge things here and there. So yeah, it was red for a while, but now it's back to green because we fixed the unit tests. And if you scroll through the patch, actually there is not so many differences in code base. So it's all for CI. Yes, so there is annotation index patch, which we haven't upstreamed yet. It's just needed for the build. Then there is GNR POSIX, which only prevents illegal reflective access warnings. So this patch has been originally created by Devin in June, and probably we should integrate it, but yeah, it's not a time-pressing issue. But yeah, I think it would be great if somebody creates a pull request against master branch. Then there are meta-inf services. It's something with indexing of extensions, if I recall correctly. That's why we needed to upgrade that. And in addition to that, well, there is a lot of refactoring to make the code compelling. I'm waiting for reviews so that it also gets upstreamed. And yeah, then there is process management. And the rest of the code is actually already integrated into the master branch. So if you want to try it, you can just try master now. You just follow the guidelines here and set up enable future Java flag. And yeah, it should be running. For Java 11, yeah, it's a bit more tricky because we still have these components. We haven't resolved JAX-B issue so far. But we are getting closer to that because Maven compiler plugin was updated. Now we can use multi-release jars if needed. So yeah, probably we will be able to resolve this issue. But with this command line, you should be able to run a weekly release on Java 11 now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, so disclaimer, it's not an official support in whatever meaning, but yeah, it's available as preview mode, as described in our policies. Okay, so this is a positive part. Less positive part is about test automation. Because yeah, in order to get it in the weekly release, we need test automation. And here, yeah, we have a lot of gaps. So I spent the most of the time of the hackathon in order to get plugin and core build stuff running. Core build is still in progress. So we have unit tests, but we still don't have integration tests ready. So there is a pull request. I reverted the flag for running only spot check builds. And yeah, so it was running only a number of Jenkins test harness tests before. And yeah, there is some issues now which I need to fix. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about that. So let's go here. Okay, so JDK 11 build passes. JDK 11 builds will fail, I believe. Yeah, so there is still some timeouts due to whatever reason. In some components still fail to build. Oh yeah, here we have a full log. So yeah, this is a finding bugs issue because find bugs doesn't fully support Java 11, and currently our plan would be to rather move to spot bugs in order to fix that. But effectively, it's harmless, so it just pollutes the build log and doesn't break anything. Then, yeah, there is Maven dependency plugin issue. So there is a pending update for it, and yeah, it will be fixed. And yeah, there is also some test issues which I do not see here, but yeah, we are doing progress. So currently, the only issue I see in my local build is with tests related to running a build itself. So Jenkins test suite includes tests like build trigger test, which effectively invoke Maven build as a part of the test. And these tests are apparently not compatible with Java 11. So yeah, they retrieve Java version, so it becomes 1.1 instead of Java 11, and then it crashes. So yeah, we will need to do something about that. But yeah, generally it looks good. There is not so many test failures. It's about integration tests. But yeah, even when we get integration tests running, we still need to do something about acceptance test harness, plugin compatibility tester. Then we will likely need to update build plugin in order to make it a part of standard flow. So what Mark did for platform labeler plugin, so Mark, you generally used the explicit dependency on the incremental release, right?
I'm not sure I caught the, so the platform labeler dash, sorry,
Okay.
missing the dash, that
Okay.
one. Yeah, so it uses, this pull request uses a, yeah, you can just show the diffs because they're actually quite simple.
Okay, so yeah, Java version, yeah, here you just picked the recent core version.
Right.
Well, nice to see that it works in such way, because what I did in a label verifier, in label verifier, I switched to the incrementals version from the upstream. So yeah, here I use yeah, this guy. So it's development branch, Java 11 support. But
yeah, and so yours was your change was pre the release of 2.143 probably.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So if the thing works, it's actually really good. Maven compiler plugin.
Yeah,
So
that will be deleted when the plugin POM updates, won't it? I think.
Yeah, right. So for plugin POM, we have updates originally created by Sam, I guess. Yeah, Java 10 hacking.
I think so. It's got my name on it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Sam. So yeah, I believe we need to get this pull request over the fence. So yeah, we need Maven compiler, and actually we rather need to go after 3.10 because it includes support of multi-release jars.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah, so they finally did that, and it means that we can actually start building our own tooling about that.
So, but Oleg, I didn't see a 3.10 released from the Maven project yet. Has it released, or is it still snapshot based?
I use it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I use it in core parent POM. Or maybe I messed it up. Just a second. Maybe I meant another version. Oh yeah, it seems so. So what I meant, actually, I should have updated this one as well. Yeah, it's Maven compiler, but it's not 3.10, it's 3.8. So this one includes support of.
I think I have that in that build actually already.
You do. Yeah, that is there, Sam.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So I'm still not sure that all our tooling supports that because we had a lot of issues with multi-release jars. But yeah, it's definitely a step forward.
It really doesn't support it properly yet. But, that's work to do.
Yeah, so Nicola did some experiments with that. We also have some patches created during the hackathon in June. For example, leap process utils, I guess. Yeah, so this one, convert process util into a multi-release jar. So here Nickel just built it on his own. But yeah, probably now it can be converted to the common Maven compiler flow. Yeah. So let's see how it evolves. But yeah, I think it's really useful, especially for cleanup of illegal reflective access. Because currently, if you want to clean it up, for example, I have an issue with the core. Yeah, this one, Unix reflection. So our Unix reflection was depending on a class which was actually removed from Java 11. So here's some crappy things. So I have to retrieve things differently for Java 11 and Java 8. It kind of works, but either I would like to move this component to a multi-release jar so the code is clean and we do not misuse these APIs for Java 11. Yeah, because I retrieve process handle and I invoke destroy. All methods are public, so we don't get reflection issues, but yeah, it's a bit weird now.
So, Oleg, where should I go to learn more about multi-release jars? Is that a common thing? I can just Google search for it and it'll get me an education.
There is a good job about that.
Okay, I can read that then.
Yeah, I can find it. Yeah, so actually, JEP 238 is a good starting point. Yeah, I'll put the link to the status doc.
I sent
Thank
you
you.
one of the better resources I'd found, Mark.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Sam.
Something I was using during the Hackfest.
Yeah, we'll have a set of links somewhere in Hackfest documents and slides. So yeah, if you have any links, please feel free to put them to the document. So yeah, I think we should briefly summarize the status because yeah, we spent too much time on that already. So we did a good progress. Yes, we still don't support Java 11 in weekly releases. It doesn't seem to be impossible. But yeah, in order to do that, we need to invest a significant time into test tooling. So it's still an open question. But yeah, if you want to do that, there is an opportunity that we deliver it by the next LCS baseline. So we have something like 1.5 months to get all patches in the master branch. And once it's there, we can probably say that yeah, it's available in weekly releases. And then we can say that it's available in LCS. Maybe this plan is too optimistic. I do not know. What do you feel, guys?
It feels very optimistic to me, but let's keep working on it.
I've got some stuff to sort out in pipeline land here that I'm working on, but I think that progress is progress, and we're getting close.
Right.
Yeah, right. I believe we still need a workflow support plugin release.
Yeah, that's blocked due to some test failures right now. I'm fairly sure that something in the serialization format that JBoss marshalling is emitting is not backwards compatible. And the question is if that's a blocker or something we just call out in big flashing marquee neon lit letters when we cut the release to say, hey, don't run any builds across these two.
So when you say across those two, Sam, could you go a little further on that? What would that mean?
Yeah, so basically, what that would mean is that if you're running a pipeline before you upgrade, you won't be running it after.
I see. Okay, meaning pipeline execution is not one of those things that you get to carry forward across the change from Java 8 to Java 11. If a pipeline is in running, sorry, you're going to have to restart. You're going to have to run again. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually not as bad as it sounds because you can simply wait for pipelines to complete before doing that upgrade. But it will be a surprising change for users, and I expect there to be some heartburn if we do that. Worst case, if we get close to EOL and I can't figure out how to bridge that gap without massive amounts of effort, then we say, well, here's a big giant caveat. Be careful with this upgrade. Here's why, and then. I mean, basically, once you do the upgrade, there shouldn't be any issues as far as I can tell. But it's only in that transitional period that it's a problem.
Okay, so yeah, I believe that it's something important and we need to figure out. Which other blockers do we have? So pipeline support. Without that, we don't have pipeline available, which doesn't make sense. Yeah. Then, in JEP 211, we have some other bits, but yeah, effectively they're reflected here. Java 11 compatibility in weekly releases. So what else we have on the table? So there is a lot of test automation. In the JEP, I said that we need to have ATH passing, to have PCT passing to release that. And I believe we still should stick to that. So it's 2 test frameworks, which will likely require significant updates. The tricky thing there that we do not need these frameworks to build on Java 11. We need them to run on Java 11. But yeah, our current steps do not support this distinction. So probably making them to build on Java 11 would be a nice step. And yeah, once we do that, probably we'll have the most of test automation in place to say that it's ready to release.
So there was another on the build plugin, Infra 1692, sort of at the bottom of your screen there.
Yeah.
In build plugin, do we want something that says if the plugin is asking to run a test against a version that doesn't support Java 11, exclude Java 11 from that matrix of tests? So for instance, I won't want to update the Git client plugin to mandate that it must require Jenkins 2.143, but I would like it to matrix test eventually against 2.1 whatever the next LTS is.
Yeah, right. It's actually mentioned.
It is okay, great. So that's already described.
This thing is exactly about that. Yes, so maybe not.
I can put it in there.
Yeah, specifying Java level for test. Yeah, it's different. But yeah, we have a task to support matrix exclusion or whatever, because yeah, it's a big issue for Java 11 testing now.
Great. That was, thank you. That answered that question.
Yeah, I'll find this issue, but it's somewhere in the list, and yeah, most likely it's in the blocker list.
Okay.
So I'll explicitly put it here in the as a blocker. I have no idea how to suppress Git notifications here. I always fail with that. Okay, what other blockers do we have? Documentation is probably okay. We also need to do agent packaging, which is not there, but I hope it's a quick win because we tested remoting and it works fine on Java 11. But yeah, I believe these are all blocking bits. And then we have some minor things like the update documentation for Java Web Start, because there is no longer Java Web Start in JDK 11. And yeah, it means that GNLP agents will require web UI updates, because yeah, GNLP will not work at all.
So just to be clear on that one, so you're saying that JNLP as a protocol won't operate, or just that the convenient user interface that lets me use it from my web browser? Yeah,
right. Sorry for confusion. So Java Web Start won't work. It means that yeah, when you start the agent, when you create the agent, there is a cool launch agent button in the web interface. So this button won't work. It does pretty much nothing right now. So it allows you to download the GNLP file, but it doesn't start on your machine because there is no executable, which is fine. It doesn't impact remoting protocols. So remoting protocols are named GNLP due to historical reasons. They have nothing to do with GNLP at all on their own, so they won't be affected.
Okay, so I don't lose the ability to execute a Windows agent using my old JNLP style, my old command line that would invoke slave.jar. That continues to work. It's just the user interface convenience of that button. Thank you.
Yeah, right. So all CLI things won't be affected. I'm a bit concerned about Windows Agent Installer because it injects some Java stuff, but according to preliminary testing, it works well. So I wouldn't bother much. And yeah, anyway, the current JEP presumes that when we land it in the weekly, it has only experimental support of Java 11. So we do not immediately say that first release with Java 11 support is fully GE. We firstly start from something like preview, but in a weekly. And then we expand to GA once all bits are in place. Yeah. Okay, so this is the current plan. Yeah, 1 month ago, I was presenting this JEP document at the SIG meeting. So I wonder whether there is a feedback about the plan in general. It's still a draft, so this JEP hasn't been accepted yet. And yeah, we can make any edits you prefer.
Yeah, and I'll submit some proposed minor edits, but I reviewed it this morning, Oleg, and it looked the plan looked really solid to me. I had no complaints about it. There are some places where I may have some questions, but they were minor compared to the overall. I especially like the Java 11 maintainers concept on your screen right now, that we will need a triage team. We'll need folks who are able to help when this goes out, because we can expect a raft of a collection of reports that we hadn't detected ourselves.
Yeah, I lost it. So we did this maintenance team for JEP 200. It actually worked really well. I mean, taking JEP 200 Fallout scale, something like 100 plugins, having a maintenance team helped a lot. We've got good community ratings in weekly release after 2 weeks, I guess. So yeah, I believe it's also something we should do here. Okay. So any other comments about the JEP?
This is great.
Okay.
Were you expecting to say this is all terrible and horrible, like? Because if so, you're talking to the wrong audience.
I do not see Daniel on the call. Usually he's the one who says that.
He's listening in.
Yeah.
He's on the YouTube link, I think.
Well, yeah, generally it's something risky, but yeah, it's something we need to do anyway. So we should have Java 11 support at some point. And yeah, our main problem with this plan is that we shouldn't break Java 8 support, which is much more important than Java 11 on its own. So yeah, any feedback from Daniel and all other folks will be appreciated. Now we just upstream smaller patches, so the changes get gradually into weekly release. But yeah, I think we really need to be careful. Because yeah, for example, this patch, apparently we still had Java 7 support in our code base for reflection. Not sure why. So I removed that. I keep my fingers crossed that nobody really uses it somehow.
Now, I am curious, are there techniques that could help us, other than read every line of code, that could help us detect things like this? Because I found some Java 6 references in some code I was looking at once. Are there ways that we could detect things like this automatically? So
one of useful things is just IDE. So IntelliJ IDE, there is a number of migration helper scanners. So for example, Jenkins core, you can just click analyze, inspect code, and there is actually a number of detectors for Java 11 compatibility and other compatibility layers. So you just run analyzer and you get a number of issues. So they start from Java 5 best practices and up to Java 11 best practices. And yeah, some issues are something we could pick. So it's one of the ways to start with that. At least it captures alt reflection and other things. And yeah, I believe it's something we should start first. But yeah, from what I see, there is no static analyzer tools which verify reflection and say whether it's correct or not in Java 11. At least IDEA doesn't do it automatically.
Okay.
So this stuff just failed in the tests. And actually, before it failed in the tests, I wasn't able to see anything wrong in manual tests we were running. So yeah, let's see. Okay, should we move on?
Yes, yeah. We've got two other topics I think that we need to touch.
Yeah, right. So yes, sorry for taking so much time with Java 11, but yeah, I hope it summarizes the current status. Okay, I'll stop sharing the screen. So we don't have Alex on the call actually. So we cannot talk about Windows installers stuff. But yeah, probably we could switch to Docker packaging now. So, Douglas, are you ready?
Hey, yeah, hi Oleg, yes.
Okay, hi.
Okay, okay, so for the Docker, the Docker sync up, right? So we had one pull request that was raised by JM Richer, right? So where he used Kemo for cross-compiling the binaries and then pushing it to the Docker Hub. So we did see certain issues there, but the Kemu released a new version for which fixed it for Alpine images, right, for the Alpine platform. So with that, at least the cross-compile version works well. I cross-checked it with S390X. I cross-checked with the Power platform, and they have acknowledged that it's working fine. I think it's the pull request 719 against the Docker.
Yeah, just a second, I'm looking for it. Yeah. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, the first one.
Yeah, the first one. So multi-architecture stuff. Okay. So yeah.
I did have a look at the changes, and that looks fine. Though he's using the manifest tool, which was the previous version, but I think that's okay for now. But it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's cross-compiling all the binaries for all the platform that's mentioned, and it's basically solving our problem. Now, the only concern that I see with this approach is that if tomorrow there is some changes in the platform, right? So what happens is, and if the Kemo team is not following that up pretty fast, then we might end up with breaking the functionality. So that's the reason I would still incline towards having a native support, because that's more a safer approach than going for a cross-compiled version. Though cross-compiled works at this moment, but there are high chances that once we go with this and we have customers using, and then suddenly with the newer version, if Kemo doesn't follow up with that and the functionality breaks, then that could lead up to an embarrassment. So, and we cannot do anything unless the Kemo team fixes it, right? So So we could start with the native approach with whichever platform we want to start. So S390X, and maybe I can also get the PPC64, that is the power team, onboarded, so that at least we have two platforms who can uh, get their CI up and build those image and push it to the Docker Hub in the organization or the repo that you have created. So now the only question that I have here is how do the corresponding teams, right, like Power and S390X team, whoever wants to build a Docker image and push it to the repo, how do they get notified, right, on what triggers? Maybe a new release is created. So how will those notification happen?
Okay, so what okay. So Jenkins for eval. So yeah, we have this repository. Yeah, here we have S390 and also multi-architecture images. So you should have access to both repositories. So you can just push the stuff here. And then if you want to subscribe for events, the plan is to use webhooks. So for example, when Jenkins build passes, we can configure a webhook so that it gets propagated to whatever other destination and it triggers the event. And then you can run your build and deploy the build here. So it would allow to do Jenkins for evaluation or whatever, but the problem with this approach is that it won't allow to do automatic weekly releases, for example. And it may be especially important in the case of security things. So it's fine as long as it's experimental support, but when it goes to the weekly, we'll need to have something better.
Right. So, or like a question, right? So when you mentioned that we can have a webhook configured.
Yeah.
So does the webhook go towards the GitHub, or can it also point to some of the Jenkins job, which is publicly available?
I would rather propose to have webhooks from Docker Hub for now. So yeah, we could send webhooks from Trusted CI, for example. So when the Docker build finishes, we can send a notification. But with the same result, we can configure it from Docker Hub. And from Docker Hub, you will get much more traceability on the Docker side.
Okay, so this is good. So since we have now two repositories created, one specific for S390X, which we had initially created, and the other one wherein we want to store images belonging to all platforms, right? So the new one, Jenkins multi-arc. So we would go with the native approach, right? We would rather not push the KMO-based images onto this repositories. Is that the understanding with the group? Or do we want to have a repository where we push a KMO-based image as well, so that whoever wants to try can experiment with that?
I'm happy to create a repository for QEMO.
Right, yeah. What I can do is I can start with the approach for the native one, so that it can build for various platforms with whatever hooks they have. But the problem here is that if we have multiple platforms, right? Say Power and S390X, right? Say these are the two teams who wish to contribute and get their Docker images for Jenkins on the Docker Hub. Then at this moment, the approach that we are following is that we are setting a webhook, right? And the webhook will be specific to one of the platforms. So S390X in this case. But if we want a common solution, then we would want a single CI, right, or some solution which could contact various agents for those platforms and then build the images. So how would we get to this solution, right? Especially if we are working on a experimental approach.
Yeah, so for experimental, actually, it can be set up on pretty much any Jenkins stub. So you can just use the flow on your own. So you take Jenkins instance, you build, you create a single webhook which triggers your pipeline, and where you build all architectures you want, and then you build multi-architecture. But yeah, when we move it to official repository, we will need to connect this infrastructure to official instances. And yeah, we have had a discussion with Olivier. So once it's configured, we could start thinking about that.
Okay, perfect. So this is what I plan to do, and maybe the team here can let me know if this might be the right approach. So what I'll do is I'll have one Jenkins instance on our side, okay, which would receive the notification from Docker Hub. Okay, and I will ask the Power team to provide me an agent, right, which I'll configure on our Jenkins CI as a slave. So that whenever a notification comes in from the Docker Hub to our instance, I will build it on S390X as well as the Power, and then the resultant images I will create a manifest and push it to the Jenkins for eval repository.
Yeah, and it also makes sense to rebuild. Yeah, then you create a
manifest.
Yeah. Okay.
The approach is similar to the QEMU based. Only thing is that the build is actually happening. The resultant images are actually natively built rather than using cross compilation.
Yeah, right. And yeah, you can still use cross compilation for other approaches. So I mean, if you want to support multiple platforms, we just can use cross compilation steps here.
Correct. Yes. If tomorrow, if we say that we want to build on a ARM platform, then any agent will just configure as a slave on the CI, which receives the notification, and we should be all set.
Yeah, it's something we can do. Yeah, COM approach. Yeah, so if you prefer native builds for your platforms, yeah, it's something we should really do. For QEMU, yeah, I believe that this pull request is still something we really need to get at least for evaluation. So I mean, I'll work in here in order to get deployed.
Right, I have another version of the same one, which I have within our repository, where I have just segregated certain methods so that it's more readable. And I have added also power support there, which is missing in that pull request 719.
Okay. Yeah, it's something I can help you with. And
yes.
Yeah, we also need information from you about where to send webhooks.
Correct. So I will work on getting a machine that is publicly available, and I will get back to you like on this so that you can configure the same.
Yeah, right. So there is no. So you want to create a public machine as a builder for that, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll have a public machine that can be notification from Docker Hub. it could be a Jenkins job as well, right? Which can be a receiving point.
Yeah, it could be a Jenkins job. So we send webhooks. You receive it, for example, on your site, for example, Docker Hub notification plugin. And then using this plugin, you trigger your build and do whatever is needed in your pipeline.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So yeah, so Oleg, just create one for Kemu, as you mentioned on top. We can have all the approaches in front of the customers, right? So till we get on this solution.
Okay. Yeah, I can remove these ones. You mean that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The third point that you have in build notification.
Okay. Sorry, I got confused. Okay, so does it look good to you, or do you want me to do something else in the plan?
Yes, just create one Kemu repository.
Yeah, it's actually here.
And what I will do is I will send another version of the pull request 719. I don't have access to his pull request, but I can definitely create one more, which includes the Jenkins file as well, which you can work with your infrastructure team to get that triggered, just as an experimental purpose.
Okay, so yeah, then I'll create, so it's Jenkins multi-arc. I would create, like something like multi-arc QEMU, and we define it there.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay. I still need to remember my credentials, I guess. Okay, so yeah, anything else we need to do now to help you with this topic?
No, I think I'm good. And I'll start working on the Nitu one, and I'll sync up with you wherever needed.
That's cool. Okay, thank you. So, any other comments on this topic? Yeah, I believe no. So we don't have Alex on the call, so I believe Windows installers sync up will stay till the next meeting. So I believe for now we mostly focus on Java 11, and yeah, we got good progress there. Any other unexpected topics to discuss?
None from me. Thanks very much, Oleg, for doing it. And congrats, everybody. Thanks for your contributions on Java 11. It really looks great. Lots to do. Really proud of how far we've come, though.
Yeah, this hackathon approach apparently works really well. Yeah, you need to do it more often, but yeah, after 2 hackathons, you've got much closer to Java 11 support than we were in May. But yeah, not quick enough to get it on September 25th with announcement. But yeah, we never targeted it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, any other topics to discuss today? By the way, for the hackathon, I'm still writing a blog post, but eventually it will be there. Okay, and then thanks everybody who participated in the call. Yeah, I'll stop the broadcast, and I believe that the next meeting will be maybe right before DevOps World Jenkins World in Nice, maybe after. But yeah, it depends on whether we have topics to discuss.
Thank you, Oleg.
Yeah,
thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oleg. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.